Okay, so now we move on to our next chapter in chemistry, that is physical and chemical changes. A very easy kind of a chapter, that is physical and chemical changes. Okay, so that's the chapter. Now, so first thing is, let's understand what does a change mean. Now, we very well know that each and everything changes. You were such a small baby, now you are grown up so much. I myself was a small child and now grown up like this. The conditions, the weather, right now it's summer, then it will be winter, then which may rainy season, then winter. You see the changes in the roads, you see the change in the type of the buildings, the type of the uh, habitat what we are having. So everything is going to change. So we can say that change is a law of nature which occurs in everyday life. Each and every day we see some or the changes across somewhere in front of us. So yeah, a change is the law of nature. The nature wants that things to change. So a substance, that is a matter, undergoes a kind of change when subjected to energy changes. So whenever you see that a matter changes into something else, then there is definitely going to be involvement of energy. Energy will either be given or taken, or something will be related to energy over there, which will bring about that change in case of matter. So for matter, any substance or matter, whenever we see any kind of a change, that change will be coming into picture due to some kind of a energy change. So we say that matter is said to undergo certain changes when the energy is added to the matter or removed from the matter. So the matter will change only and only when there is a subsequent change in the energy to it. If I am going to give it energy, then it is going to change, or I am going to absorb energy from it, then it is going to change. That's why we written over here, the energy is said to be undergo, is to say to undergo certain changes when energy is added to the matter or removed from the matter. So either energy is given in or it is taken out for the change in matter to take place. Now accordingly, the changes which take place, the changes are two kinds, classified into two kinds: physical change and chemical change. Almost all changes takes place in the matter may be classified as physical and chemical. So most of the changes, whatever changes we see in the matter, okay, we are talking about matter only. My growing up or your growing up is not considered to be as matter. So we are considering only the changes which is going to take place in the matter, that is some kind of a chemical substance we are talking about. So almost all changes taking place in the matter may be classified as physical or chemical. So what is a physical change? A physical change are temporary. So we can say this is temporary. What do we are temporary? Something which is going to be there only for a short while of time. Okay, that is not permanent. Yes, temporary means it is not going to be fixed that हाँ ये हो गया तो हो गया, अभी इसको कुछ कर नहीं सकते हैं, right? So when something is, some kind of a change is such that it is only temporarily in that case. Like for example, ice changing into water or water changing into ice. It's a temporary change because you can again convert back into ice or water. So that's why it is a temporary change. So it is temporary. Second, easily reversible. So of course, if it is temporary, this is easily reversible. if I change, if there is any physical change taking place, then that change will be easily reversible also. As I told you about the ice itself again, ice to water easily change हो सकता है, water to ice also. So that's why easily reversible. And the state of the substances changes without its fundamental nature undergoing any change. So there is only the change in the state. So change of state is there. So there is a change of state. And we know that change of state and no new substance is formed. So here it is just a change of state, no new substance formed. When I say I am converting ice into water or water into ice, I don't say ice is different than water. No. The chemical formula for ice is also H2O, and for water is also H2O, and steam is also H2O. So there is no new substance formed in a physical change. So physical change is a change in which the change is temporary, it is easily reversible, and it is accompanied by a change of state, and no new substance is formed. So it is given as physical changes are temporary, easily reversible, and the state of the substance changes without its fundamental nature. Fundamental nature means what? The fundamental properties. The properties means the substance is not going to be new substance or undergoing any change. Automatically, now we see the chemical change. The chemical change, first of all, they are permanent in nature. They are permanent in nature. Once it is formed, it cannot be easily reversed. So once it is formed, like for example, if I say that hydrogen plus oxygen is going to give me water, yes, it gives me water. Once water is formed, making water again into hydrogen oxygen is a difficult task. It is not something so easy. That's why we call it as a permanent change. Permanent change are those changes which are not easily reversed. So that's why it's a permanent change, not easily reversed. So they are not easily reversible. If the change is such that it cannot be reversed so easily, then it is a permanent change. And the identity of the substance is altered, which generally results in the formation of new substance. So here the identity of the substance now. So hydrogen, a substance which is completely different than oxygen, also completely different, and hydrogen to oxygen forming water is completely different from hydrogen and oxygen. So a new substance is formed. So here the thing is that it is not a change of state, but it is formation of new substance. Formation of new substance. So a substance will be formed which will be having the properties different from its original original form. So that's why a new substance forms. So it has got altered. So the properties have got altered, which generally results in the formation of new substance. So accordingly we say that chemical changes are permanent, not easily reversible, and identity of the substance, that is altered, which generally results in the formation of new substance. So that was about the classification of the physical and chemical changes. The changes are not only physical and chemical, there are many other changes also. Other changes in general include, so in this case we are not talking only about matter, we are talking about generally. Generally means around us, we body, the plants, the climate, all those things. So we have first is reversible and irreversible change. So it's changes which are one which can be easily reversed. Okay, so when ice to water hai, water to ice hai, that is reversible, and irreversible will be hydrogen oxygen to water, and water to hydrogen oxygen nahi ho raha hai, is irreversible. So one is reversible change which can be reversed by change in condition, like melting of ice and freezing of water. Melting of ice, freezing of water, yes, it is possible to reverse it. But irreversible change which cannot be reversed on changing in condition, burning of magnesium. Now when magnesium is burned, it gives rise to magnesium oxide and the bright light is being formed. तो एक बार वो burn हो गया, उसके बाद में फिर से magnesium नहीं बना सकता उसका. So it is burning of magnesium becomes a irreversible change. The next one is slow or and fast change. Some changes are so that they are just in a fraction of seconds. फट करके वो change हो गया. And कोई है जो slowly आराम से धीरे 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 changes हो रहे हैं. So slow changes occur very slowly over days or years. For example, a seed growing into a tree. So seedling बना, radicals, plumule, धीरे धीरे low leaves, patch leaves, then stem, and then so on, so on, so on. So basically पूरा का पूरा tree बनने के लिए उसको सालों के सालों निकल जाते हैं. So that is why it is a slow change, whereas a fast change occurs very rapidly in seconds, like occurrence of lightning. How does the lightning take place? Even if you just miss it, you will not come. हाँ कुछ हुआ था ना, but you don't even see it because it has already come and gone. So lightning, striking of the lightning or the lightning strike is just very very fast. In seconds it is there and it is gone. So that's why it is a fast change. Next is periodic and non-periodic changes. See, some kind of changes are such that they are going to occur every certain period of time. Like for example, day and night. 12 घंटा दिन, उसके बाद अंधेरा आता है, night, then again day, then night. Okay, the seasons, that like summer, rainy, winter, summer, rainy, winter. तो वो जो continuous चालू है वो क्या है? Periodic है. Okay, that is a periodic change. Whereas some could be a non-periodic change. So like for example, periodic change occur periodically at regular intervals. That is change of seasons. Change of seasons is a periodic change because at regular intervals you are going to have a change in the climate. That is the periodic change, seasons. Whereas non-periodic do not occur regularly at regular intervals, like change of weather. See, weather, it's not predictable. Subah it is sunny and suddenly it becomes cloudy and it starts raining, and then after the rains are gone it is again sunny. Sometimes it is so that the mornings are very very cold, and but as soon as a certain time passes off and the afternoons is very very hot. So it's a weather change. So the weather changes are something which is not going to be periodic. It is just going to change depending upon the conditions around, the geographical conditions around it. So that's why it is a non-periodic change. It is not going to repeat again. You cannot say, अरे हाँ अभी 1 घंटे के लिए अगर धूप था तो यार next 2 घंटे के लिए धूप नहीं होगा, उसके बाद फिर से 1 घंटे के लिए धूप रहेगा. No, it is not something with like this. It is non-periodic in nature. And finally is desirable and undesirable changes. That is, desirable changes produce something useful results and are brought about by man or nature. Like for example, making of glass. Desirable changes. You are trying to generate something on your own and you want it to be very useful. So in that case, it's a desirable change. Making of a glass. Okay, you are taking silica and everything and you are making a glass. So that change, what you are going to get is a desirable change. Whereas undesirable change produces useless results and are brought about by man or nature. It is the breaking of the glass. हाथ से छूट गया glass, टूट गया. What happened? It was an undesirable change. Did you really want it to break? No, you didn't want it to break. That's why it is an undesirable change. So certain changes are desirable and certain are undesirable. So accordingly, we have over here that the changes could be either physical or chemical, or in the other kind of a general category, it will be either reversible, irreversible, slow or fast, periodic or non-periodic, or desirable and undesirable. We move on now to the main part of the chapter, that is physical and chemical changes. So that's physical and chemical changes. So let's see first of all the definition of physical change. So the chapter they are given you is in the form of like differentiation between physical and chemical. So quite easy to learn that way, but we'll understand it one by one. So first we will consider the complete physical change, and then we'll consider the chemical change and see the difference also at the same time. So we'll go one by one. So first thing is physical changes. Definition. A change in which the substance retains its identity and changes in form or state without altering in composition. So what is the thing over here? Physical change is the one which is a change in which the substance is going to retain its identity. Like for example, water. Water changed to ice. Did it change its identity? No, it is still a form of water. Water changed to steam. Okay, did it change its identity? No, it is still in the form a form of water. The chemical symbol of all of them is H2O, as I told you again earlier also. So it is the one in which it is just a change in which the purpose or this particular identity of that particular substance is not lost. So it is retaining its identity. The change is in the form of a state, is in form or state without altering its composition. So there is no change in the composition of that particular substance. The composition is still H2O, okay, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. It is retaining over there, but only thing is there is a change in the form, like it may be solid, liquid, gases, or state, that is like same thing, solid, liquid or gas. So you can see that a change in which the substance retains its identity and changes in form or state without altering the composition is a physical change. So that's why we see that physical changes, they are the following kind of characteristics. First thing, it is temporary, as we had said earlier. Temporary means only for a short duration of time. Secondly, easily reversible, because it is temporary, it can be easily reversed also, so it is easily reversible. Third, with no new substance formed, so no, only change in state, so no new substance formed, so there is no new substance being formed, the composition is remaining the state. And lastly, composition and properties of original not altered. So composition, so this is one point, second point, third point, fourth point is composition and properties not altered. Okay, this was the fourth point. So the 4 important things about a physical change are: they are temporary, they are easily reversible, they have a change of state, that means a new substance is going to be formed, and finally the composition and properties of that substance are unaltered. They are not altered, they are not going to form into a new substance, so its original properties are going to be retained. So retention of its identity, original substance retaining its composition, retaining its property, is the main thing about physical change. Now let's compare. So we have got examples over here: ice to water, water to ice. So yes, ice to water and water to ice is a temporary change. Yes. Is the change reversible? Yes, it is reversible. You can convert water to ice and ice to water. Is any new substance formed? No, new substance is formed. That's why it is just water again. Has the composition or properties of the substance changed? No, it is not changed. Hence, you can see they are exactly, it is temporary also, it is a reversible change also, it is a change with a new substance not formed, composition is retained. Hence, changing a water to ice and ice to water is a physical change. So it's a physical change. This is how we are saying that it is a physical change. Let's take the chemical change in the same way. Now, first thing, the definition. A change in which the substance loses its identity. First and most important thing, loses the identity. It is no longer the same substance anymore. The moment you take magnesium and burn it, it is going to get converted into magnesium oxide. Okay. The moment you take a candle and burn it, it is going to give you carbon dioxide gas. The wax is gone. At least some part of wax which is gone. Some part may melt, but some part is just going to go off, burn off. So you see over here that it is going to, first and foremost thing is that, loses its identity and produces one or more new substances by change in its composition. So that's why there is going to be some kind of a change which produces a new product altogether. A new new substance is going to be produced. That new substance will have the properties completely different from its parent composition. So that's why a change in its composition by formation of one or more new substances. Hence the definition is a change in which the substance loses its identity and produces one or more new substances by change in its composition is a chemical change. Got it? So what are the properties in the chemical change? First one, as I written over here. First one. First thing change is there. The chemical change is permanent. It's a permanent change. That means it is not possible to reverse that change. वो change फिर से वापस वही जगह पे नहीं आएगा. मैंने एक पेपर को जला दिया तो it has gone. So I cannot bring it back to its original form. So this is not easily reversible. Why we are not saying over here cannot be reversed? No, we are just saying not easily reversible because there are certain methods by which certain kind of chemical changes can be reversed. Like for example, if we take hydrogen and oxygen when we combine it gives you water. So yes, of course, we cannot split the water into hydrogen oxygen just by heating or something. But there is a process of electrolysis which can be done by which the water can be converted into hydrogen and oxygen separately. Okay, so we can separate water into hydrogen and oxygen by doing the process of electrolysis. That's why, because it is possible to reverse it by some other method, I can only write over here as not easily reversible. Because you cannot do it at home, oxygen and I am using the oxygen for something. No, you cannot do it so easily. That's why it is not easily reversible. Got it? The permanent है, permanent बोल सकते हैं, but permanent ऐसा कि जो not easily reversible. Right. The next is with the new substance formed. So there is a formation of a new substance. So there is a formation of new substance. What is the new substance? Like example I gave you was hydrogen and oxygen, both two gases. Okay, hydrogen a gas, oxygen a gas. Combined together, what does it form? It forms into a liquid, that is water. Okay, दो gases combine हुए, एक form हुआ, liquid form हुआ, that is water. Property is completely different from that because hydrogen is going to burn, that is, it is combustible, it is explosive in nature. In fact, hydrogen bomb होते हैं. Oxygen suppose combustion, oxygen के बगैर कोई चीज जल नहीं सकती है, so suppose combustion. And water is something which is going to extinguish the fire. So though एक explosive, एक supporting combustion, and what is the result of the two? Something totally different, extinguishing fire. So that's the reason you see that the new product is going to be formed when a chemical change takes place, and that's also the next point, and that is the composition and properties are not altered. So composition and properties are altered. Okay, so they are going to give you a completely new substance which is completely different from its original substance. So that gives us the chemical change is permanent, not easily reversible, with a new substance formed, and composition and properties of original substance are altered. So this way you are going to get a completely new substance when you are going to have a chemical change. So that's the example given over here, burning of magnesium. Magnesium ribbon, on burning, it is going to be forming into magnesium oxide. So can you convert the magnesium oxide into again a magnesium ribbon? No, you cannot. Okay, burn यानी burn, खत्म, उसको कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं. So that's why, is change permanent? Yes. Is it irreversible? Yes, it is not reversible. Is a new substance formed? Yes, magnesium का भी magnesium oxide हो गया. So new substance formed. Has the properties of this composition and properties of the substance changed? Yes, the composition properties have changed because it was in the form of a ribbon. Now it is just in the form of a powder. So you can see that everything changed when you burn a magnesium ribbon. Magnesium ribbon was a silvery kind of a thing, whether in the form of a strip. You burn it, it became a powdery kind of a thing, which was magnesium oxide. Properties of that are completely different from magnesium. So accordingly, we see that magnesium oxide will have the properties completely different from magnesium. It is irreversible change. You cannot convert magnesium oxide into magnesium directly, and it is such a permanent change. Hence, the burning of magnesium becomes a chemical change. Got it? So that is how it forms a chemical change. Now let's compare the two. Comparison. Composition of the molecules of a substance remains unaltered in a physical change. So it is going to remain unaltered in a physical change. Whereas composition of the molecules and the substance are going to be altered in the chemical change. So first thing, physical changes are temporary changes. Chemical changes are permanent changes. Next thing is, there is in a physical change, there is no change of mass. The mass is not going to change because mass of the substance undergoing a physical change, it is no change because no matter is added or removed during a physical change. During a physical change, there is nothing going to be added or removed. Water changing into ice, it is the same mass changing into ice. Ice turning into water, the same mass is getting converted into water. So there is no change in mass. So we have over here, that is no change in mass. Over here, mass may increase or decrease. So there is change in mass. How can there be a change in mass? Like, let's take the example. So over here it is change in mass of a substance undergoing a chemical change. Matter is added or removed, but total mass is unaltered. Why matter is added or removed? Like, for example, we talk about magnesium ribbon. Now magnesium ribbon was just made up of magnesium. As soon as I heat it, it is going to come in contact with the oxygen which is there in the air, and the oxygen in the air is going to get combined with the magnesium to form magnesium oxide. So what has happened? That oxygen has been added to the magnesium. So there is an increase in the mass, right? So resultant will be, of course, we cannot measure it because it's very, very, very minute. But yes, there will be a slight change. But वो कहाँ से आया? एयर में से ही आया. तो अगर एयर के कंटेंट के साथ में if you are taking that Mg plus O2 is going to give me MgO, तो O2 we are considering as one of the reactants. भले magnesium के टाइम पे we are not considering O2, but during the process, the complete reactants are the magnesium and oxygen, and the product are MgO, magnesium oxide. They both are remaining unaltered. Means the total mass is the same. But only magnesium and magnesium before and magnesium after, there is going to be some change because of addition of some or the other matter to it. Hence, it will be in the form of the matter is going to be added or removed. So total mass is unaltered. Third is no gain or loss of energy during the physical change. So no gain or loss of energy. Why do we call this thing? Because अगर मैंने ice को water में convert किया, तो I am giving it heat, and when I am converting the water to ice, then I am taking out heat. So what has happened? The total amount of heat which was given, the total amount is getting back. So there is no change. So energy required for completion of a physical energy change is released when the change is reversed. So when I reverse the change, it is a reversible change. So when I reverse the change, the energy is just going to get उल्टा. पहले मैंने अगर दिया रहेगा तो मुझे वापस मिलेगा. पहले अगर मैंने लिया रहेगा तो मुझे देना पड़ेगा. Simple. So water we turn into ice. At that time I am extracting the heat from it. Only then it turns into ice. Then when I change the ice into water, at that time I am imparting heat to it. So automatically it is the same amount of heat which was taken in is given out. So that's why there is no change or gain or loss of the energy. Whereas energy is either absorbed or evolved. Energy absorbed or evolved. Okay, there will be a condition wherein it will get heated up by itself, or it is going to absorb the heat It requires heat for the reaction to take place. So energy in the form of light, percussion, that is pressure, or generally heat energy is required for the chemical change. You will require some amount of energy for the chemical reaction to take place. Hydrogen and oxygen combine together to become water, but not at a room temperature. You need to have it at a very, very high temperature. Only at high temperature, it is going high pressure and temperature, it is going to get converted into water. So that's the reason we say that energy is either going to be absorbed or it is going to be evolved during the chemical change. So this is how we all see that how the physical and chemical changes are differentiated. Now we see the next thing, and that is the examples of physical and chemical changes.